Okay, good morning. And wow. Actually, I need to thank you for the director of the SEAMEO SEN that invite me to be the conduct this workshop. So, and thank you for the Ministry of Education of the Brunei that to join us today this morning. And let me welcome all of you, friends from Brunei. I think I remember somebody, right? So yeah, I see you before, huh? So today, actually, my name is Samad Ratana Sakhon. I actually graduate from my PhD on curriculum and instruction, and I used to work at the Bangkok School for the Blind Special Education Center. I work at the Bangkok School for the Blind for almost 20 years, and then I moved to work at the Special Education Center at Nakhon Pathom. It's near my home. So for almost 10 years, and then I moved to work at the Bureau of Special Education at the Ministry of Education in Bangkok. So I got the chance to see all of you, and I'm still a representative of Thailand when we have the meeting on special education for the SEAMEO SEN. So let me introduce you to our friends, Dr. Kanit Phamani. Dr. Kanit Phamani, please say hi to.
Good morning, everyone from Brunei.
And introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Samad, for your introduction, and good morning, all participants in Brunei and the team of SEAMEO SEN in Malaysia. So my name is Kanit Phamani. So yes, I'm totally blind now, working at the Bureau of Special Education at the same office with Dr. Samad. So I graduated, I earned my doctorate in the fields of educational leadership, focusing on special education and transition services. So I just got to work at the Ministry of Education a few years ago. Before then, I used to work in the NGO. It's called CFBT, the Christian Foundation for the Blind in Thailand, and get involved with other NGOs working for people with disabilities, particularly for visual impairment populations. So yeah, this is brief introduction for myself.
Okay. Actually, when we look at the is it possible we have our friend from Brunei, could you please introduce yourself, please? Is it possible?
Hi, Dr. Samad. I'm Lily.
Hi, Minnie.
Hi,
Dr. Samad. I'm Nourish again.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Hi, Dr. Samad. I'm Dr.
Hi.
Evelyn.
Okay, see you.
See you again.
Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Samad. I'm Hijra. Just call me Hij.
Okay, nice to meet you.
I am Zarina.
Oh, nice to meet you.
I am Jos.
Hi.
Hello,
hi.
Kamalia. Hi,
Hi.
Dr. Samad. I'm Gida.
Okay, hi.
Hello, I'm Rose.
Oh, hi.
Hi, I'm Aziati.
Oh, hi. So we have 10 people here. So we can you see everybody can hear me, right? Clearly, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in this 3 day, we actually I'm not going to train you how to develop the curriculum, because when I look at your curriculum that you sent to us, it's very fantastic, and I think that it's going to be the your curriculum is going to be the model for our region. So you gave me the hard time that to help you to develop curriculum, because you already done perfect already. But in these 3 days, I'm going to, I think for the course objective, I'm going to focus more on to share the resource and exchange the idea on the area pertaining to the curriculum development. So not at the standards to how to develop the curriculum, but we have the we call the alternative. So to try to meet our needs, student needs. So maybe a little bit different, but and after that we're going to try to identify the gap or something after you be working with us in these 2 or 3 days, and then maybe you can identify some. We work together, and we might identify some gap or something that missing in your curriculum. But I still again I very appreciate your work you have done for your student. So today we will go to in the 3 day. Let me briefly to you what we are going to talk about in this 3 day. Let me share screen. So in this 3 day, we are going to do developing a curriculum for students with a special needs on the secondary level. And one thing that I keep remind myself that this center, I mean the SEAMEO SEN, the vision is leading center for quality teaching and learning in special education needs. And the mission, today we are going to do the mission to promote and enhance the quality of special education needs practice among SEAMEO member countries. That means I don't want you to keep your best practice in your country. So this is a good opportunity that you can share your best practice to our member countries. So in these 3 days, we're going to talk about the first thing today. Dr. Kanit Pamani going to talk about the right to education of persons with disability and self-advocacy and disability awareness. And the second day, today I'm going to talk a little bit just introduction of the transition focus, that is the alternative way to create to design the curriculum for our students with special needs. And we're going to tomorrow as well, we're going to do blending transition activity into our curriculum. And for the last day, we're going to talk about transition focus instruction, and we're going to exchange the idea on the area pertaining to curriculum development. And we're going to work together at that. We are going to identify and the gap and closing the gap to make our curriculum for our students in this region more effective. So today, Dr. Kanit going to talk about the right to education of person with disability. How important? I don't know. We need to talk. We need to listen to the Dr. Kanit Pamani. And for this workshop, I would like you to understand that you can ask the question anytime that you think you can jump in any time when we speaking. Don't worry. We come and share the idea together. So don't worry don't be hesitate to jump in and ask the question. Okay, thank you. Last but not least, thank you for everybody for join our workshop in this today 3 days. So please welcome Dr. Kanit Pamani. Yeah, Dr. Kanit Pamani, please.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Samad, again for your introductions. Like Dr. Samad told you that we are not going to give you the instructions of how to come up with the curriculums or how to teach the students with disabilities. But, I think in Thailand also we are in the progress of improvement education for students with disabilities. I'm sorry that my term about student with disability may be a little bit different. I usually, don't use too often to the term of special need, special education needs. I may not very get used to that term, so I probably use the term of special education teachers or student with disability, but it's the same meaning. Yeah. So like I told you that I believe that all of you are the school administrators, right? Or the school teachers. So I think you will be experts in the field of special education and also the concept and the framework of, how to teach students with disabilities, how to make the rights real for the people with disabilities. But today, I just, we just want to give you the attentions, and then we can record together what we have done and what we still need to do and what is the future for us to looking forward and make it happen in the near future. So I'm not sure if I can share my screen. Oh, and again, during my presentations, if you have any questions, concern, ideas, or would like to share your experience, we have the course rules. So first, don't raise your hand, right? Because like I told you, I'm totally blind. If you raise your hand, you will not be asked to to give the questions or to ask the question forever. So feel free to jump in and ask the questions or share your comment. Just let me know, like, well, just want to share the idea. It's okay. So feel free to do that. And second rule is, follow the first rules. So yeah, it's just kidding. Yeah, just want to make sure that, if you have any questions, feel free to do that. So we are learning together. And like Dr. Samad said that we are in the process. So the curriculum you have done and sent to us is very nice curriculum, and in the near future probably we can develop together, and we will maybe able to replicate your curriculum and apply in our country too. Okay, so am I sharing my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, but can you enlarge it?
Okay.
Okay, well, the topic, like 1.5 hour or 1 hour, probably 1.5 hour, will talks about the rights to education for people with disabilities and self-advocacy, self-awareness, or the umbrella term is the self-determination. So I think the topic in particular for the first topic, rights to education, is a little bit boring. I think all of us knows already, understand that what rights of education, right to education of people with disability is, And, particular for the CRPD that I'm going to talk about, I think all of us will know that. But again, just want to make sure that we as the SEAMEO SEN communities, so we understand in the same way that when we developed the curriculum or the learning activities that we share to each other, we understand the same idea, so that when we apply the curriculum or the activities that one country have done, and then we can do correctly. So I just want to make sure that we understand in the same way. Or if I misunderstand in some aspects of CRPD or anything that I'm going to present, feel free to share me, correct me, or sharing your idea that it might be a little bit different in terms of my understanding. Yeah, basically, I will gonna talk about the CRPD, the Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities, that you already know that this is the first international convention in the 21st century that is very important. So ever that we have, it's it was adopted in 2006, and now I believe that all our 10 member countries in ASEAN, we have ratified and signified for that CRPD, and also Thailand have ratified already, and I believe that Brunei also done that. So it's kind of international convention that if we ratifies, and then we have committed to endorse the domestic laws and regulations, so that we have the guideline in our country to come up with the policies, regulations leading to the daily practice that we can improve the education for persons with disabilities. So the main purpose of CRPD, again, there are two main purpose of CRPD. So it's to promote, protect, and make sure that equal enjoyment of human rights for people with disabilities, freedoms, right? So you will see the keywords. One of the most important keywords is the freedom. So as we know that people with disabilities, particularly in, I would say in Asia mostly, so we have kind of a lot of challenges sometimes, particularly in the past, but now I think it's much better improvement. So we still need more improvement in terms of we make sure that the rights of people with disability are protected, are promoted, and they have the freedom to speak, freedom to movement, freedom to education, freedom to anything that people in society have. And one of the most important is to promote the respect, inherent dignities. This is the big words that we have to make sure that, particularly myself as a person with disabilities, in the past, sometimes I felt that I didn't have respect from surrounded people. I think, but now it's changing. So we want to make sure that it's changing and keep changing, and we are leading toward, it may not be perfect, but we are hoping that, one day our friends with disability will be respected their dignity. So this is it's not just the purpose, but I think it's goals of the CRPD that we make sure everyone respect. So, and one another thing that very important is the paradigm shift. That from the slide you will see that the first changing attitudes and approach to person with disabilities. So I have the questions, and also want to share you with the questions, like if you or the first time, now you are a professional working for people with disabilities, but in the first time in your life when you first saw or met people with disabilities, what was your first question in your mind to ask them? So anyone wanna share? Just one person is okay. Just wanna know, like, before becoming the professional. So when you first saw the person with disabilities, what was your first questions when I asked? Anyone want to share?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Before becoming the professional like you are today, so what was your question when you first met or saw the person with disability in your area or in your communities?
How do they learn? How do they survive?
Yes.
How we can teach them? What kind of strategies we need to approach them?
Yeah, it's very nice questions. I mean, this question it seemed to be like you became the professional very early. Yeah, these questions are showing that your attitudes and your approach was very nice, very in terms of this paradigm shift of CRPD. And I want to share, in my experience, even today, because I told you that I'm totally blind, when I am alone in the public area, so I still hear the question like, how could you eat? How you could travel by yourself? This is the main ideas of CRPD, that they want to shift the attitudes and approach of the surrounded people when they are approaching people with disabilities. When I was in United States, I was waiting for the bus at the bus stop. One lady came to me asking that, how do you be independent? I never have such these questions in Thailand. This is the ideas of changing attitudes and approach of people in society to person with disabilities. The questions that people asking people with disability reflecting the attitudes, the perceptions that they have towards people with disabilities, right? So I'm very impressed the question that you share with us. Even you first meet with person with disability in the past, that in that time you might not have any ideas of CRPDs and rights of people with disability, but your question was very nice. Yeah. The second element is to view person with disability as object towards subject. So I was sharing you the big words in Thailand 8 years ago when Miss Genevieve Caulfield, the American ladies, the blind ladies, she came to Thailand and want to, found the school for the blind in Bangkok. And she did the campaign. She visited the policymakers, the government key persons, the politicians, asking for if she could establish school for the blind. And the answer that she got, and she wrote it in her books, saying that, you don't need to do that because people with visual impairment, they are like a share. they are like a dust. They might not be able to do anything. It's not useful. It's useless to educate them. You don't need to do that. So this idea is like they view people with vision impairment like objects, like a table, like a chair. So, but now for the CRPD, they want to shift that idea of viewing people with disability instead of object. They want us to see them as a subjects. So we are human beings. We have the feelings. We are able to work as the same as other people. Yes, we need some accommodation. Yes, we need some modification. Yes, they need some support. Once those are provided, they are able to work, they are able to do whatever we are as the regular one can do. So this is a big idea of shifting that viewing people as object to subject. So the last two bullets, it's concrete examples. So if people in society have the right attitudes, right approach to person with disabilities, understanding that people with disability are subjects, not objects, they can promote active participations of people with disability in any activities. I will emphasize that, any activities. So, a lot of people in the past, in particular, saying that, even based on my experience, that you don't need to do that because you are blind. So you can just sit, you can just stay, it's okay. So we are do that. We will do that. So it's not the ideas of promoting active participation of people with disabilities. And another thing is promote decision making. Again, we need to respect. The key word is to respect the inherent dignities of the person with disability. So everyone has the right, so they can make decisions whatever they want. So this is a big idea of the CRPD that want to shift from the traditional to the modern society. This is the reason behind that paradigm shift. So I believe all of you would know that these models, if you read the books, you will see many different models of disabilities, but I'm gonna present just the simple ones. So particularly in Asian countries, I will say Thailand, as I experienced before, that people with disabilities, based on traditional models, they are it's result of the sins, or they are punished by God. So disability is something that people did in the past, and then it's resulted to the person, or even if you do today, there will resulted in the future. This is the ideas of traditional models. So that's right to you before, people with disability are viewed as the sin person, or you're a bad person because you did something bad in the past. So now you become the person with disability. This is the ideas of traditional models. So medical models will people with disability like something is damaged. So your part of body, your leg is broken, your hand is broken, your eye doesn't work. So we have to fix it. Without fixing it, so that person is unable to do anything because what? If they are losing their legs, they cannot walk. If they don't have the official legs, so they should stay home because what? They don't have legs. It's hard to work. It has to move. It's hard to go to work. So I have no eyes. I can see. So you don't need to study. Even you study, you may not be able to work as any person, any people. So it's not necessary for you to do. This is a medical model. So how I can do that? So first you have to go to see the doctors, fixing your impairment. So you have to fix your eyes, you have to fix your hands, you have to fix your legs, you have to fix your ears. Once it's working perfectly, so you can come back, you can get education, you can study, you can work. Otherwise, stay home and get support from your families, from your parents, from the government. This is the main ideas of medical models. So social models, so this is a new idea that viewing people with disability is not the result of impairment, physical impairment, or there's something bad resulting of the past experience or past actions that we have done before. So yes, this model agree that people have impairments. So I don't have legs, I am blind, I cannot hear, my hands do not work, I cannot move, I cannot think properly, I cannot behave properly. But it doesn't mean that I cannot do anything. So why? If I don't have legs, just give me the wheelchair. Just make sure that the building have a ramp. Just make sure that the building have elevators. If I am blind, make sure that you have the audio books, you have the braille, you have the white cane for me, so I can walk by myself safely. If I cannot hear, I have hearing loss. So make sure that you provide the sign language, interpreters, you have captioning. So if I cannot think properly due to intellectual ability, make sure that you provide, flexible teaching activities, techniques, support services. So if that's provided, people with visual impairment, hearing impairment, physical disabilities, they can do is may not 100% similar to non-disabled people, but at least they can perform, as close as to other people. So from the perspective of the social model, we are seeing that people with disabilities can do. So impairment is not the limitation. So impairment is impairment. If you want to fix it, go fix it. It's good. If you can go to stop to see the doctor and the doctor can fix it, go ahead. And if it can be cured, it's very nice. But if not, it's okay. So we can provide the support services, accommodation, modification, so that those people can study, can learn, can work, can survive, can live independently with other people in society. This is the ideas of social model that the CRPD want to reach to. And the last one is the human rights social models. This is a little bit more advanced, but is similar to social model. So we want to make sure that, because the thing is that we have the law guarantee that people with disability have a right to education, have a right to the work, have a right to do whatever they want to do, to participate in the social activities. But it doesn't mean that no discrimination. It doesn't mean that negative attitudes, stereotyping, even though they follow the rules, allowing people with disability to be inclusive schools. But a lot of teachers or people in the school still stereotype or doing something negatively to people with disabilities, students with disabilities. So based on this model, we want to make sure that attitudes, again, go back to attitudes, because this is a fundamental aspect of changing everything. If you follow the rules without changing your attitudes, you do that because the law asks you to do. If you don't do that, you will get punished. You will be guilty. You need to do something. You need to get punished, right? But if you change your attitude, it change. Sometime or in the future, we may not have the law. Okay, we will need the law, but you don't need to think about if I do this, it's against the law. We don't need to think about that. If attitude is changed, it will be automatically reacting to whatever it should be. At the same time, yes, regarding people with disability in our society, education, employment, social participation, it's the same thing that as a teacher, we are teaching students with disability, not just only those populations. We want to teach regular kids, parents, relatives, and other people in society to make sure that they understand this concept and ideas of how people with disability are living in our societies and how they can support them to be able to live together happily. So yes, just wanna ask you simply question that's what is what disability is. So based on your definitions. So listening to me for 10 minutes. So do you have ideas of defining disabilities?
So please do share.
Individual with different needs.
Different needs. Yes. Keywords, different needs. Anything else?
With impairment. With impairment. Someone with impairment.
Yeah. Anything else?
Someone who needs a support system.
Need what? Okay, please.
Need support system.
Support system. Yes. Anything else?
People with limitation.
Yeah, people with limitations.
Limitation.
Yeah, limitations. Okay.
Need specific support according to their needs.
Specific supports
Yeah, according to their needs.
according to their needs. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I think it's good idea. And if you try to categorize those response that you just sharing, you'll see that it seemed to be like almost of those response focusing on person with disabilities, right? Different needs, So students have their own needs. I have my needs. Dr. Samad have his needs. And each person has his own needs. So different needs, limitations is again, we have different needs, we have different limitations, we have different support. We need different supports. I need white cane. For those who are hearing impairment, they may need sign language. Yes, right. So we need support system. So yeah, but other thing that I want you to think about its environment. Like I told you that people with disability, based on the social models, we want to make sure that the environment, physical environment, social environments are accessible, are friendly design, so that people with disability having different needs, having different limitations, are able to access, are able to join that activities as the same as other people. So again, I'm showing you the definitions of disability in CRPD. You see that the big words is involving concept. So it's not single concept like I told you. Single concept is like impairment. So my eyes do not work, so I have to fix it. This is a single concept. But when involving more than one concept, so yes, I cannot see, but it doesn't mean that I cannot understand the books, the contents written in the books. If you give me the audio books, or if you read the books for me, so I can understand the letters, the alphabets written in the books. So this is the involving, the combinations of concept. And another big concept is interaction between impairment and attitudinal and environmental. Like I told you before, it's interactions. So disability is interacting. If it's not if I am blind, if you don't have audio books for me, if you don't read for me, so I become totally blind in the classroom because I'm not able to understand the learning materials. So if you have the positive attitudes, so you might be thinking that, oh, he cannot see, so I will read for you. Good attitudes, and I'll provide a good environment. So, well, probably I'll read to you in the back of the classroom or in the corner of the room because it's a little bit quiet. Other students don't make a noise, so you might be able to more concentrate on what I have read. This is the attitudes and environment. So within these interactions, people with disabilities can have equal access to whatever they are offering in that settings, school settings, social settings, parks, shopping malls, or whatever. So this is the meanings of disability in CRPD. Two big concept is involving multiple concepts and interaction between those concepts. Concept of impairment, concept of attitudes, and concept of environment. So this is just a text in the CRPD article 24 talking about the right to education of people with disability. I will not go into the detail, but I just want to point out that in the first bullet talking about equality. So all people should receive equal education. So equal education is enough? Do you think it's enough? So if you provide equal education in your classroom, equal opportunity to your student in your classroom, you think it's enough for the student to receive quality education?
No.
No. What else? Rather than equality, what else we need to have?
It's support from teachers.
Support from teacher. Yes.
Extra support from assistant teachers.
Yes, right. The second bullet, right? Reasonable accommodations or support system. We call that equities. Equities mean fairness. You know, yes. So the first bullet is equality. You provide equal options, equal chance to all students. So everyone in the classroom have equal chance to listen to your lecture, equal chance to have the learning materials that you provided for them. But equities or reasonable accommodation, it's based on individual needs. You are giving the lectures, you are giving the learning materials. So for the blind student, you may need to give them the Braille audio books, right? For the student with hearing impairment, you need to have, again, sign language interpreters or captions. So this is reasonable accommodations we will call equities or fairness, which means you offer the equal and fair chance to everyone. So if you are short, you have to stand on the chair to make sure that you can see the blackboard. If you are tall, you may need to lower down a little bit to make sure that your friends behind you can see the blackboard. So this is the fairness. This is the equities. So equality itself is good, but it's not enough. So we need to have the equitable education. So you have to provide a fair access to education or your classroom activities. So the combination of equities and equality, the first and second bullets, it becomes justice in the third bullet. Life to learn, life and social development skill, for equal participation in society, blah, blah, blah. So those is justice. So if the student or people with disability receive equal and equitable chance, it's more likely for them to be in the justice societies. So this is the ideas of Article 24 that make sure that we have equal access, equitable chance, and then leading toward justice, educational justice. This is SDG 4, Goal 4. It's again talks about mostly, the main idea is about the equal and fair education for people with disability and also vulnerable groups and, different people in different needs. We will call diverse learners. So what else? Okay, before going to the next slide, do you have any questions, ideas, comments, or anything you want to share?
For now, nothing to ask. But then when you talk about the attitudes just now, I'm very intrigued with with what you mentioned about having the right attitude for special education or supporting students with disabilities.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, we decide what we think it is. for us, we are the people with no disabilities.
Yes.
So us at special education unit, we tend to put ourselves first. Well, this is just for discussion, okay? We tend to see what it is rather than we tend to see what we think it is rather than seeing what it is. Because we like what we honestly we in our system we lack in terms of getting these people with disabilities the voice, giving them the voice.
Yeah.
Into making changes, and especially in terms of policy making as well. So this is something very interesting. This is something that we've been. Well, I hope everyone is listening here. It is something that is crucial to our discussion in terms of even developing curriculum. Well, going back to what we plan to do is develop curriculum. I think what I'm saying is, number one rule is we have to remove that attitude. We have to remove the attitude that it is what I think. Then we have to remove that attitude. What I think it is, that we should be working more into getting what other people think. What other people means these people with disabilities. We need to give them the voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it makes sense, but then what I'm saying is, yeah, we have to, in terms of policy making, policy changing, we have to get these people with disabilities the voice, and we have to listen to them. That's the number one rule.
Yes, right.
You.
You're right. Yeah, I agree that, attitude is not easy to remove, or it's not easy to remove, or it's very difficult to improve, but the thing is, one of the things, particularly for us as the special education teachers or people working in the field of special education, we try very hard to, encourage people with disability to speak out. That will be the next section that will talk about self-determination, self-advocacy. That's, it's okay, like I told you before, if attitude is not be changed right away. But the thing is, if people with disability have the floor, have the room to speak, are able to speak, are able to, stand for their rights and needs, I think this is okay. Yeah, it's little by little, people in society that will change the attitudes later on, and little by little, yeah, gradually change. And yeah, anyone want to share more or want to comment or something?
I think I would agree with what Dr. Edlen said just now. And then the second thing is, I think we need to change attitude from the parents itself to make it success, the curriculum success, being in the attitude for everyone, attitude more positive rather than negative. Because what we can see, there is a curriculum and then we can support teachers, but the parents also need to be supported so that they can support their child as well to make it success.
Yes, right. You're right. Yeah. Well, parents play a very crucial roles, particularly for those who have severe disabilities. For a student with mild disabilities, it's okay because they have autonomy. They are able to probably make a decision by themselves, choose their goals, making the choice. But for those who have severe disabilities, parents play very essential roles. So I believe that, in next sessions and next day, Dr. Samad will talks about more, how to involve those stakeholders, particularly for parents, friends, siblings, and, those who are working closely with students with disability, how they can take part, and, and hopefully in the end, their attitudes will be changed. Yeah. Okay, so I'll move to the next section. It's still in the same sections, but you know, because of the CRPD, because of the SDG, because of another international conventions that I didn't talk about, you know, Indians and whatever. So I just want to share a little bit about law and regulation in Thailand. That we have two major laws that's impacting the education for people with disability in Thailand. First is the National Education Act of 1999 that you know, guarantee the rights of people with disability in Thailand to receive the free educations at least 12 years. So our educational system is 9 years compulsory, 12 years for basic education. So all students should be in compulsory education for 9 years, and then it's their choice to continue to grade 10 to 12, or they can move to another track like vocational schools or you know, non-formal education. It's their choice, but uh, anyways, it's free for them to receive basic education for 12 years. And Educational Provision for People with Disability Act of 2008. This one is very crucial for people with disability in Thailand. So they are qualified. So again, they receive free education. So since birth or since diagnosis as of disabilities, and they have the choice to choose their educational type. Like I told you that in Thailand we have formal education, informal education, or even non-formal education. So they have the right to choose that type of educational system, and they also are entitled to receive the support services. I think this is very good laws and regulation. I'm not sure in Brunei if you have any kind of law, but one of the things that I frankly say that in Thailand, you know, we believe that we have the good law, but in terms of the implementations, we're still in progress. Like I told you that, you know, it's not easy. So we have the law saying that people with disability have the right to educate, have right to participate in any schools that you want to attend. But in reality, you know, we still challenged with the, you know, um, people with disability cannot get into some school that they want to attend. So reality, it's a little bit different from the thing on the law. So this is the real situation that uh, I think we are still challenging with, and I'm not quite sure if you can share your uh, you know, experience or situation in your country a little bit. That will be helpful. So yeah, any law and regulations in Brunei that you think it will be helpful, useful for students with disability, and something you think should be changed or rise? Yeah, the first section that I talked about is about right to education. So rights, those things are listed in the CRPD, listed in the SDG, listed in the constitutions, in the law, in the acts, in the policy. So, but the thing is how to make the right real. So this is the big questions, and this is, you know, the job that we have to be working on. And even in Thailand, we have been working in this issue for a long time. So like I told you that we have the first school for the blind, first school for children with special needs in 1932. So now it's almost 90 years, but still in progress. So we need more improvement. So make the right real is not easy. Even we understand that's what we need, how we want to do. Okay, yeah. Do you have any thing want to share? You have any thoughts for your countries about law and regulation?
There's special education policy in 1997.
I get this.
And we also have a compulsory education act that that ensure that all students special need to be in school. However, there's no yet special education act or any disability acts. I think it's in the process of evaluating it or reviewing it again. Yeah. But then, yeah, that was the last one. Yeah, it hasn't been revised since 1997.
UNESCO.
Yeah. But Brunei signed the ratified the ratified the CRPD.
CPDD.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
in the process of reviewing the special education policy.
Okay. Yeah. Just want to hear a little bit about your experience. So I think in the last sections, we can share, we can identify the gaps that Dr. Samad will do that. So I think that will be helpful for your and our country to make a progress. So again, this is a place that I left before about make the right real. That I told you that it's not easy. To make a right real. So the person or the people that's significantly, impacts on making the right real. I think it's a lot of people that we mentioned before a little bit. Some parents, teachers. This is the list that I've tried to come up with making the right real through educational process. So let's say that now we have the good law, like for example in Thailand. So we have the National Education Act, we have the Educational Provision for People with Disability Act, and then in the policy level, so for policy makers, we make sure that they understand that this is, I think, is one of very important. So even you have the good law, if the policy do not apply or comply with the law, so it's never happened. So we make sure that we have the good law, and then the policy makers understand what the law is, and the concept that they want to make the real rights happen for the special education. So they create the good practical policy and provide adequate funding. This is a very essential part. So without the funding, it's never happens. So school administrators, that is one of the key stakeholders that need to understand, the disability issues and provide technical support. I think this is a general concept that all of you would know already. So, but I just want to list, some key points and stakeholders that get involved with the educational process. So, yeah, the last bullet that I left with is who should be involved rather than policymakers, parents, teachers, special ed teachers, general teachers, school administrators. So who else should be involved in the educational process for people with disabilities? I think this is depending on the situations of that area. I mean, for example, in Thailand, and sometimes, particularly for education for people with some type of disabilities, for example, visual impairment, NGOs did a good job in terms of provide education and support services, or even technical knowledge and skills, technical support. So in some area, even the public, government um, did is not good enough job with that area. So it depends on that particular situations. So even in special education overall, when you go to the details, we need to identify the key stakeholders to make sure that educational process is working for any type of disabilities. So do you have any concern, like in your country, Brunei, who else can play the roles in supporting or providing educational support for people with disability rather than the list that I provided? Or it might be a good idea for us too.
Government.
Government, policy
Government.
makers.
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, I probably forget about international collaborators as we are doing today. I think this is a very good contribution too. Because now it's globalization, so it's not just we are working alone in our country, so we can collaborate internationally, and then we can apply the practices and guidelines that have done in other countries or area, and then we can use adapted in our country too. Well, international collaboration or international collaborators are the very useful resource also rather than domestic. Yeah. This is a key that I want to highlight today. So make the right real by person with disability. So we are know that and we agree that teachers, school administrators, parents, policymakers, peers, friends, and who else? Psychologists and any professionals working for people with disability. They are very important in developmental process, helping people with disability. It's not just for the education, but including employment, social participation, daily living skills, whatever. But again, inherent dignities. This is a personal level. So we need to make sure that people with disability themselves are able to recognize, acknowledge their rights, and more importantly, know their responsibilities. So, all of us have the right, again, in addition to having rights, we have responsibility. So similar to everyone, so people with disabilities, they do have their rights. And do they have responsibilities? Even having severe disability, they still have responsibility to do. They have their own responsibility. So the uh, topic or the thing that I'm gonna talk today, and want to highlight, it's about there are three concepts and three things that you might have heard already. It's self-determination, self-advocacy, and self-awareness. And again, these three terms are a little bit different, but sometimes we use this term interchangeably. So, some people may use it back and forth. So you can use it. It depends on the guidelines or the books that you read or the school that you belong to. So self-advocacy or self-determination is okay. But to me, I prefer using self-determination. So based on this definition and concept, you will see what the self-determination is, self-advocacy is, and self-awareness is. So the keywords of self-determination is primary causal agents, making choices
And decision.
and free from external influence or interference. So for the self-determination, there are 3 keywords that I want to highlight. First is the causal agents. So people with disability or person with disabilities, they should be able to make decisions. They should be able to perform whatever by themselves. And when they are do that, so they do with the free, without interference. So again, it doesn't mean that we are do nothing. We just leave them to make choice or to set their goals, to solve the problem, to survive by themselves. So it doesn't mean that we are as a teacher, as a parents, as a friends, as a supporters, we will provide them with the educations, with the tools to make sure that whenever they make the choice, whenever they make decisions, they make based on the reason, based on informations, based on the information that they receive enough to make decisions, and then they make by themselves. This is a self-determination. And self-awareness, and the keywords is capacity to introspection and understand their own thoughts, emotions, behavior, and how this affect them and everyone else. So self-awareness mainly focuses on, you know, understand themselves, understand ourselves, and know that whenever we do something, it's make an impact on others. For example, students with disabilities, in particular for those who have behavioral or emotional um, challenges, a lot of time, you know, they are making something, they are doing something that probably negatively impacts on other people. So we need to make sure that we gain their self-awareness, we teach them to improve their skills appropriately. So when they behave, when we do something, it's not badly affects other people. So this is called self-awareness. We need to gain their awareness. So it's easy, no? For some type of disability, it's not easy. But Dr. Samad will give you the tools how to identify the challenges of the students in specific area and strategy to improve those challenges. So self-advocacy, ability to speak, ability to show your needs, to speak out, to voice out. Like one of you was sharing that we need to listen to the student. But a lot of time, even in Thailand, I have heard that you might get used to with the IEP process. One of the most important is to get participation from the student, active participation. I will highlight actively participate in the IEP meetings. This is a self advocacy. So they need to be able to speak. They need to be able to express their needs, their interests. So what is my goals? I want to become a teacher. I want to join the vocational training in the area of whatever, computer labs, or I don't know what program or what area we are offering, but This is the job, the task of student to acknowledge, to express their needs, to speak if they want to join that class or choose that way, what accommodations they need to help them succeeding that goals. This is a self-advocacy, so they know their strengths, their needs, and they can express that to surrounding people. Make sure that's appropriately, politely, it's not aggressive. This is the idea that I'm gonna talk for the next sessions. So again, sorry, you wanna say something?
One question.
Yes, go
Just
ahead.
just now when Doctor said that to create IEP, we
Uh-huh.
need to involve the student itself to target the IEP, to target the goal, right?
Yeah.
How about if we ask the parents, their parents,
Mhm.
what they want for their kids or for the students, what they want for their child? Is it enough or is it acceptable?
Well, ideally, I will say ideally, it's not enough. Um, the fact that I think 100% of people agree that parents love their child. They love them very much. But the fact that the parents honestly will die before the kids. This is a true story, right? So we need to make sure that it's okay for the baby, if the baby, it's okay for the parent to make decision. For students with very severe profound disability, it's okay for parents to first make the decision. But ideally, we try very hard as much as possible to increase the active participations of the student. I will give an example of student with severe disabilities. For the next few slides, I will show you the examples of how to gain the active participation. Let's say we will easily start with like choice making skills. This is a basic step of teaching self-determination or gaining active participations of students with profound or significant disabilities. So yes, there are the ways, like I told you, that Dr. Samad will give you the ideas of how to receive that information. Actually, I agree that for students with severe disability, it's hard to get the information, to get students expressing their needs. It's not easy, right? But little by little, we will have the tools and process to increase their self-determination so that in the long term, in the long term, those students will be able to express their needs and active participate in any process. It's not the mistake. It's not the fault at all to ask the parents, but uh, we encourage to find out the techniques to gain the active participations of the students. Yeah.
Doctor, what happened is usually when we make the IEP or draft the IEP, usually the teachers or school itself ask the UPK officers, the special education officers, what is their goal, our goal for the children.
You mean the IEP goals?
Yes.
Well, the IEP. Go ahead. What did your last questions? Your last words?
We are the one who make the target or the goal for the students or the objective.
Well, you know, the IEP goals, as we know that as a special education teacher, when we conduct the IEP meetings and we have the IEP goals, they have the short and long goals. So, and like I told you that Dr. Samad will have the transition planning process. And he has the tools and that we will go detail for tomorrow. But I just want to give you the short answers and briefly that for the even the IEP goals, we have to revise annually revise or 6-month revise. So even you identify the goals, we still have to revise it. So you can identify the short-term goals. For example, like, you know, for this semester, um, the student will take how many classes, whatever the student have. For example, like 2 classes, and then each classes that we will identify, and then before identifying, we will find out that it depends on the curriculum too. I mean, if the students are in the general ed settings, they are including in inclusive education, we will base on the general ed curriculum, right? So we are not just focusing on the academic or functional skills. So we need to make sure that the goals that we identify it's enough in terms of the students are in inclusive settings. But if the student in, let's say, your program PVP might be a little bit different from the Gen Ed curriculum. So the goals for the first year, for example, if you want the student to achieve that particular skills or knowledge, that will be that goals. And then you need to revise it. So the IEP goals, it depends again on curriculums, and within the curriculum, it depends on the plan that you make too. So, and again, even within the curriculum, when you do assessment, it depends on the student's abilities, needs, preference too. Because even in the same curriculum, but the student with disability are different. So we need to make sure that the goals are based upon the individual's conditions, right? Yeah, this is a kind of general ideas of making the IEP goals or even any goals that we make. So Dr. Samad, would you like to add something?
Yes, thank you. I think it's a good question. We have a problem in our country too. Sometimes a lot of teachers, they just create the goal for the create the whole IEP for the students. So actually, when we create develop the IEP goal, this is depend on the student condition. Maybe for the severe or for the kindergarten, or if a student in the secondary, maybe the on the maybe grade 6 or secondary school or high school. This is okay. We can the student can help us to create the goal. But the idea of the IEP is to help a student progress. Access, progress, and in our school curriculum. This is the main idea. So when we create the goal, so we need to get the information, not just write the goal, but we need to get the information, need to do the assessment. So that means the student will involve, student and the parent and the stakeholders will involve this process. So for the goal, I to create a goal that for the kid with in secondary school or high school, or maybe on the grades in the primary, like a grade 5, grade 6, they can tell you something about the goal, can have some idea, some to help make the decision. But the main idea that the IEP is we need to focus on the how to help our student access and progress in our school curriculum, and you need to get more information from the students. And even if the student cannot provide the information, that we need to work with more with the parent. So it depends on the students. Yes, I think this. Yeah, I think it's a good question, and we have the same problem here. Sometimes teacher just show the IEP that the parent never seen before. I should not talk about this.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to add now. So I was thinking that I will talk later on, but I think it's good to talk now. Is like because we mentioned about the IEP goals or the goals that we want the student to achieve, and we are talking about if the student themselves are not be able to identify their needs, preference, if we can ask the parents or somebody else, it's good, right? But one of the things that I want to raise to now, it's about expectations. So a lots of time that's our experience have seen that, some teachers, they have, it's not just the teacher, even parents themselves, uh, they have low expectation to the student, particularly for those who have severe disabilities. I would say that if the students are in the inclusive education and they are in the core curriculum, so as the special education teacher, as the gen ed teacher, as any person, so first we know that students have disabilities, have limitations, but our goals has to help the student to achieve as high as possible, as similar as non-disabled students. We don't know yet if the student can succeed. We don't know yet if we can provide technical support so that the student can achieve high standards. But we first should be able to high expectation, to put high expectation, because what, based on my experience as the person with disabilities, I took one class, many class, but one class that I took when I was in secondary school. So my teacher in the physical education, he said that, oh, you are blind, you are challenging enough, you are living in the difficulty enough, physical education, you don't need to do anything. So being blind, it's I don't want to say bad enough. So it's okay for you to just sitting and relaxing. And this is a low expectation, right? Well, yes, definitely. I cannot be a good football player. I cannot be a good volleyball player, but I can learn how to be a good football player, what kind of characteristic, what kind of techniques that the good players would have. This is the knowledge that I can learn, and even I can teach or I can tell my friends, hey, if you want to be the good football players, you have to do exercise at least how many hours a day, you have to eat good food, protein, blah blah blah. This is kind of knowledge that I can learn, and I can be good at this area, right? So with the low expectation, you just say that, hey, if you want to be the good football player, if you are taking the football class, you should be able to go into the field, and you can be the goalkeepers, strikers, or whatever is a position in the field. It's not just that way, right? So that I will say high expectation versus low expectation. This is his most important element, so idea that's leading toward come up with the IEP goals and learning goals of your student. If you have the concept or ideas of low expectation, it's very hard to make a good IEP goals or learning goals. But if you stand for high expectation, we don't know yet if the student can do. But if okay, we can set the high expectation. We can provide the support services to make sure that the student can be full potential development. So yeah, this is one of the things that may be a little bit out of topic, but I just want to add.
So Dr. Kanit, may I?
Yeah, sure, please.
Yeah, for the example that Dr. Kanit gave to us is for the football, for the learning the football in the secondary school. So for the IEP, if a student is he is blind, so the IEP idea that you need to think about how we going to help the blind student participate in the football activity, class activity, learning activities. So we might come up with okay, we going to the goal is student a student will be able to participate in the football class by maybe we adapting the football, we putting the sound in the ball, or we make the space, or we make the partner, or we create the space that the student can participate in. So this is a challenge for the teacher, that when we look at we access the student, why they cannot he or she cannot play the football. So we will come up with, when we have the question why, so we need to adapt or teach them a skills that they can learn, not just a low expectation. Oh, they cannot play the football because they're blind. He cannot speak. He cannot write a poem because he doesn't have the hands. So we can use the different way they can express their thoughts. So this is our role as the educator when we create the IEP goal for the student. The idea that I say that again, that we need to think about how to help our student progress in the our curriculum or activities. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, any questions? Any more questions about this? Yeah, it's probably not directly related on it's on the topic. Yeah, actually it's not off topic, and I think this is very important for practitioners to share the ideas, experience, and things that we can improve our practice. Any more questions, ideas, or thoughts? Okay, so yeah, this is examples of self-determination skills that ranging from basic to, I would say, advanced. So choice making skills is kind of basic that you can teach the students even with severe disability up to self efficacy. So yeah, the last two bullets, self-advocacy and self-efficacy. Do you have any questions about this term, or do you get used to that term?
Efficacy. Hindi, yun tanya soalan. Apa soalannya? Kamu okay with terms? We understand we find the terms.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is a question for the teachers that if I give you 1 minute to ask yourself. So it's a yes no questions.
Do I bear my students? Yes.
If I give you one or 2 minutes to ask yourself, it's a yes no questions.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, yes.
If you answer yes for 5 questions, you don't need to get the training. No, just kidding. Well, I mean, for on the topic of self-determinations or self-advocacy, yeah, actually, if you answer yes for the 5 questions, and in addition to answering yes, if you say yes and you do that in your daily practice, I think, yeah, you are professional enough for teaching self-determinations or self-advocacy skills, actually, but make sure that you say yes and you do that. Yeah, because, and anybody say no for many questions?
For number 1, Dr.
What questions are mostly people say no? Which one?
Number one for decisions on a day-to-day basis, because for senior students, usually we are the one who make decisions for them.
Okay.
We help them to make decisions.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's good enough, or I don't know, but it's okay. I mean, because you have the reason behind that. So if you say no for the second or first questions, and you're saying that the student with severe disability, yeah, sometimes we have to make decision. We have to choose for them. It's acceptable. It's okay. Teaching self-determination skills. Yeah, the first idea that I want to say that all students with all degrees of disabilities, which mean ranging from severe, profound disability, moderate, mild.
Dr. Khanit,
Yes.
can you go back to the
Okay.
previous slide, please?
Okay.
So when the teacher answer that for the first question, do I encourage my students to make a choice and decision on day-to-day basis? When we answer, when we think about the student with the severe student, so I think we need to think again. We can encourage them to make a choice, even though student with very, very low function. Like in my when I was in school, sometimes I doing school observation. I have seen a lot of the sometimes still my student that.
Yeah, you can use this slide and explain. Yeah, this is the same idea that Dr. Samad are explaining.
Yeah, when teacher want, especially on the lunchtime, the teacher make the cook the food for the student and give the student the food, and the student all sometimes they throw away the food, so and make the teacher very angry. So this is a good chance, good opportunity that we can teach them to make the decision and to protest or reject. So this is a good opportunity that we sometimes, even us, sometimes we go we go for lunch and they don't have any any food that we like, so we protest, we reject, we don't need to eat it like a kid. So we need to create this opportunity, how to help them to reject the food or deny or say no. So we need to use some kinds of technology, or need to teach them the skill how to say no properly. So this is a good chance that we can teach the these skills for our students. This is challenging for the teacher, educators. I think we need to rethink about when we think about the choice making. So we need to think again and create more the activity, create more the opportunity for our students to say no. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
At the moment in our school setting, like in a classroom, there are like more than 5 students with different disabilities. And I think with teachers, they have with the time constraints and they have no assistant teachers to teach these students with the choice making skills. It can be quite difficult. Yeah, so in terms of like, how do you really teach these students with the choice making skills with different students with different disabilities and your resources, the human resources?
So how many students you have in your classroom, basically?
5.
How
More
many?
than I have 8. 8 with different disabilities. Yeah.
So 8
With no
students
accent.
in different type of disability
Yes.
in your
For
class.
example, I have 3 autism,
Uh-huh.
2 with Down syndrome, and the rest with learning difficulties.
And how many teacher you have in the classroom? Just
Just
one?
one teacher.
One teacher for 8 students in different disability
level.
categories, right?
Yes.
Categories.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is a good question, and we have our teacher in Thailand too. They have the same problem, that we have the different needs, variety of needs of our student, and how we going to teach them making a choice. So we need to teach even the student with the severe autism, or student with the ID intellectual disability. Sometimes we need to teach them at the real context. Like we need to teach them at snack time. Just I give you for the sample for the snack time, so we can give them the we need to accept they like, or what is they like, what is they don't like. So I mean, if we know that what they don't like, that we can create how they can make to deny or to say no to. So at the snack time, we know that he like the A, he doesn't like the B. So we give them the B and provide them the tool that they can say no. Like if they cannot talk, give them maybe the card or the picture of say no. So we give them the B that he doesn't like. So they show us the picture. At the first time we might need to have the do a prompting, a lot of prompting, and after that, we try many times that they can show you the picture or show some sign or just can talk to say no. So we start with they don't like, and then we give them what they like. Give them the A, so he can make a choice, and he can get what he want. And sometimes we have give them two snacks that one they like and one they don't like, so they can place them in front of the student and they can make a choice. So we can create a lot of activity that to help our student to making a choice. I just for the short period of time, I can give you maybe one example. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I just want to add, yeah, I will add a little bit more from Dr. Sama, that I understand that you are saying that you have 8 students in your classroom in different type of disabilities, and it's very hard to teach, for example, a choice making skill, right? So I think first we need to understand that we don't need to teach choice making skills 8 students in the same time. This is the first idea that we need to understand. We have to understand together. Like, it's impossible because what, one teacher, 8 students in different disability categories. Impossible for you to teach choice making skill. You have 2 hands, right? Impossible. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, this is okay to do that, but the way that one that I recommend, rather than in addition to Dr. Samad, is first you need to be able to identify the natures and characteristic of each student in your classroom first. Second is teaching self choice making skill. You can teach any activities. For example, if you have students with autism, the first kid is autism, second is blindness, third is hearing impairment, fourth is physical disability, third is Down syndrome, the sixth student is LD, seven is CP, eight is ADHD, for example. Then if you can identify, the characteristic and needs of the student, and then you need to definitely based on the IEP, right? For example, for the blind student, if they are in the classroom, what kind of activities that can support them to be able to learn by themselves? Definitely, these 8 students cannot learn together, right? You cannot do the lecture in front of the classroom and have the sign language interpreters, have the braille for the blind student, and blah, blah, blah for other different needs. Definitely. But you can decide for the blind student, you can give them the braille or audio books, and then they can listen. For the people with hearing impairment, you can give them the iPad, for example, and then they can learn by themselves. For the student with autism, they probably love the pictures, something colorfully, very colorful. You can give them something like that. For those who have, other limitations, you need to be able, firstly, identify their needs and preference, and then you give them the preference activities, and then you can focus on you can rotately focus on student one of the time, and then you can give them or teach them choice making skill, for example, or you can teach them in other situations. For example, lunchtime, you give the choice for student with hearing impairment. For the recreational time or leisure time, you will teach choice making skill to student with ADHD. For the break time or any else, you can teach other students. So you can do that. You don't need to teach one time for all students. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is a samples of choice making skill. So I skipped 2 slides, but it's okay. I think you know, you got my slide, or I will share you later on. It's okay. This is just a sample. This is problem solving skills that is kind of sample again. Again, problem solving skill you can teach is even for students with severe disabilities, because problem is different. People have different problems. For those who are rich, who have hundreds of millions, their problem is different from me, for sure. Do they have the problem? Yes. They don't know how to spend the money with 100 million, right? So for me or someone else who don't have the money, we have the problem that how we can earn the money, how we can get the money. This is the problem. So everyone has their own problems. Students with severe disability, they have their own problems. They might not even be able to go to toilet. They even may be able to go to the toilet, but they may not be able to wash their hand. This is the problem. But for students with marked disabilities, their problem might be not able to, you know, order food or taking public transportation. So students have different problems. So by teaching problem solving skills, let's say, for example, students with very severe disabilities, they cannot washing their hands. You can use task analysis technique to teach washing hand skills. But firstly, you need to encourage or help them to identify or find out or how to solve the problem. For example, if the student cannot wash their hand, so you may need to find out to encourage them to identify the ways to washing their hand. Even they saying that, well, I cannot wash my hand, I will let you or ask you to wash my hand, or I will you know, use different, I will not wash my hand, but I will use the tissue paper to clean it instead of washing. This is the way of solving the problem, right? Because the problem is not being able to wash the hand. The solution is, hey, I don't do by myself, but I'll let you do that. So my teacher, please wash my hand. This is a solution, even though it doesn't make sense. So we want the student to washing hand by himself or herself, but he or she cannot do that. So his or her solution is to ask the teacher to do that. This is his solution. It doesn't matter. It's not. It's fine, right? Or he might say, well, I don't wash the hand. I cannot do that. I will use the tissue paper instead. This is his solution, right? So our goal is to help students to identify the problem and the solution, whether or not those solutions make sense. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. It's okay, because that is not the goals. Our goal of this activity is to help the student identify the problem and the solutions. So if you think that solution, it doesn't make sense, it's not a good solution, we need to help them to find a good solution, right? So we don't expect firstly the student will be able to come up with the best solution, but at least the solution is okay. Yeah. Or do you have any question, or Dr. Samad would like to add something?
No.
No? Okay. Yeah, just wanna clarify that, like I told you, you know, problem is different. So we have different problems. So and we don't expect to the student to make the best solution, even it's a nonsense solution. It's okay because he has the ability. So that if he can make the best solution, we don't need to teach them problem solving skills, right? Because he needs the instruction. So it's okay to make the nonsense solution.
So ya berkursi. Ya. Kalau kadang-kadang begitu pakai kursi. Pakai kursi. Yes.
Yeah, this is a little bit advanced, so I just want to show the different level of skills. Again, decision making you can teach the student with severe, but this one is more for the student with mild to moderate. You know, for example, you program PVP program. So, you know, it's good to offer the choices for the student to make decisions, what kind of classes or what kind of, you know, internships that they want to participate. And it's better if you can ask them more deeply that what is your reason behind that? Why you want to participate? What is your reason to make decisions? So this is an additional question that you can ask the student. Again, high expectation. It's okay to ask the difficult questions. If they cannot answer, it's okay. But yeah, high expectation is better. Okay, because it's time almost up, so I will a little bit quickly. Yeah, this is a goal setting. Again, this is just kind of situation that I provide you to see or to you know, have the ideas of how to teach certain skills. So goal and goal settings and entertainment.
And
Yeah, well, if you give the student class schedule or you know, and try to help them like what grade you want to get, and if you want to get that grade, what you're gonna do. So this is relating to planning skill too. Yeah. Self-regulation skill is kind of, this is a self-control or self-management skills. It's pretty much the same with the self-regulation. So this will be very helpful for those who have the emotional, you know, challenges, or you know, even all kind of disabilities. Okay, we'll go real quick because we have another thing that, yeah, self-advocacy. Yeah, IEP meetings make sure that you encourage students to voice, to say what is the best solution, best accommodations for him or her to succeed that goal. Okay. Self-advocacy is about trust, self-confidence. So they trust. One of the most important thing is we need to help our students to have self-confidence, to trust themselves. Okay, so this is kind of teaching models that widely used in United States. I give you an examples that you might be able to adapt or modify to your classroom teaching activities. And again, I understand that that you are sharing. You have a lot of students in your classroom and different needs. It's okay. So you know, we may not be able to do to teach every student at the same time, but based on the IEP will be the leading guides for us to you know, help the students succeed their goal. So from the SDMI,
Self-information learning model structure.
yeah, this is the main ideas of how SDMI works. And actually there are 4 phrases. Oh, hold on. So there are 3 phrases, and within each phrase, there are 4 questions for you to develop or answer the question. For example, phrase 1, what is my goal? So this is best for classroom teaching activities. So you will help the student to identify the goals. It can break down into lesson by lesson, or the whole semester is okay. It's depend on, you can freely decide it. For example, if you have the uh, learning plans or lesson plans for this plan, so you will help the student identify. If you teach, for example, like watching hand skills, for example, so identify the goal. The goal is to wash the hand, right? By using soap or whatever you want. First, to take actions.
Okay.
So you try to help the student to make a plan. What is my plan? So if he or she wants to be able to watch the hand, so the goal is to watch the hand. So what is the plan to be able to watch the hand by him or herself? So again, you may need to use the task analysis technique, for example.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And what is the plan? So again, this is not just our plan. So make sure that you ask the student take part to come up with the plan. So we're making plan together. And the first 3, I just go a plan. So this is just, sometimes the student cannot reach the goal. So the first series of activities, you want to have the student washing the hand. You have 10 steps, for example. You done 10 steps, but the student may not be able to independently washing their hand. It's okay. So the goal can be adjusted. Or if he can do that or she can do that, so you and he or her and she can make the new goals, and then we can go to the next cycle, next activities. But if they cannot do that, so we can adjust or revise the goal. This is the 3 phases of the model. Okay, so I think we have 5 minutes left. Sorry for uh, so I have a few more slides, but basically it's step by step. I'll send you the slide, or if you get it from the SEAMEO SEN, you can study more, and feel free to, uh, within these 3 days, so feel free to ask the questions, or if you need more resources, I can give you later on, or I can provide you. So I think we have a few more minutes. I will stop the slide from now, and then to open the floor for you to have the questions, comments. Any questions, comments, or want to share the thoughts or idea? Or Dr. Samad, would you like to add something before we done this section today?
So no, I don't have that. And I think I'm going to. So if you don't have
Any question?
if you don't have any question, I'm going to talk a little bit for tomorrow. So how much time do we have? Do we have to finish like 12 o'clock, right?
Yeah, we have a few more minutes, so I'm not quite sure if we can be late a little bit.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
Are you okay to be late a little bit, 5 minutes, 10 minutes late?
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Samad, they are okay to be late.
Okay. Okay, can you see my slide?
No,
Planning
no.
for HRT to ikut
You make it beautiful screen.
in the PDD. Sebenarnya mana dia printer? Ha? Oh, mana? Kami share. Tapi buat lagi, buat satu dua buat lah. Yang gambar ini penting foto.
Dr. Khanit,
Yeah.
could you stop your screening?
Okay.
Okay, but you can hear me, right?
Yes.
So I think this morning session is very important when we developing the curriculum, that we need to think about the right of the person with disability or our students. So this is very important. We not just in my country we have a problem too when we try to, I mean, almost 5 years ago we try to create a special curriculum for students, even though in the special school. We are already signed for the CPDD, and we have a lot. The voice of person with disability, they don't agree with if they have to study different from their peers. It means they have the right to education without discrimination. That's very important. And the other thing is the attitude. We need to change that. We need to have the low expectation when we create a curriculum. We need to have the high expectation for our student. Don't think that student cannot do that. We have to think about how we can help them to do that. So this is very important. So for tomorrow, I would like to give you some idea, a little bit idea for our tomorrow session. I create the activity for you. Can you see that?
Yes.
Please imagine that in next year, 2022, all of you going to go to live in Thailand forever.
Forever.
Yeah, forever. You need to come and stay in Thailand. What do you dream about? So just imagine. I know that you don't want to come there because your country have a so, yeah. So what are you what are you going to do when you come to Thailand? You have a plan, and where are you going to stay? Are you no? You're going to stay forever. Tom yum, huh? So you're going to stay forever. You're not coming back to the Brunei. So this is what you dream about. And the second thing that you need to think about, what are you afraid of? This afraid that this fear will destroy your dream. Are you going to dream to come to Thailand, to stay in Thailand, but you fear something that will destroy your dream? The third question, please identify your strengths, your aptitude, and your talent or your talent, and what you like, what you don't like or dislike. And the fourth question, what are you currently ready? Yeah, are you ready now? And what are you ready? Ready to move to Thailand. The fifth one, what you need if you want to come to stay to live in Thailand. What knowledge and essential knowledge and skill that you think you might need. So think about the knowledge and skill, and how do you get the knowledge and skill to achieve your dream in Thailand? Separate, categorized by skill. And is there any person or agency that can help you? I give you
Dr. Samad.
yes. Yes. I can give I give you 5 minutes to give the maybe the short answer. Just short, maybe short one who want to show your idea and tomorrow only
Just an example.
yeah.
Example now, 1%.
Yeah, and tomorrow you will come with the full answer. But today you
Okay.
just yeah.
What you dream? What are you going to do? What? Oh, what's open?
Open a restaurant, Malay Brunei restaurant.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Look nice, huh?
Well, I think it's good. I think it's good to do that, and it's not just a dream. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Yes.
What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
Yeah.
Languages?
So you want to come and open the restaurant, right? And you're
Yes.
afraid of the language, right?
Yes.
Okay. What's your strength?
I'm a good cook.
Cooking.
Ah,
Cook.
good cook.
Wow.
Ah.
I want to try. I want to try. And what do you like?
What you don't like? What you don't like?
What
Do you like?
Do you like? What do you like? Eating.
Eating.
What kind of food? What kind of food that you like?
Bukan restoran kan Mr. Rina.
What kind of food that you like?
Seafood.
Tom
Seafood.
yum.
Tom yum.
Tom yum. Sang tam.
Som tam. What you don't like? What you don't like?
Don't like.
I don't like.
Huh?
What you don't like? Spicy?
Spicy.
Okay.
Something else. Like
Pollution.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Huh?
Crowded area.
Oh. So what are you currently ready? What are you ready now? What do you have? Yeah. What?
Money. We have budget.
Oh,
Oh,
budget.
you got a
wow.
budget. Oh wow.
It's very important.
Friends in Thailand. Dr. Saman.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, what is your needs? Please identify your knowledge and need. That if you want to come here, needs it mean what you see the gap or what you need to improve. The language. The language. First, the language. Anything else?
Need to drive in Thailand.
Oh, to drive. You mean drive the car, right?
Yes. Need to know the
Oh,
culture
wow.
of Thailand.
Oh, the culture. The culture.
Suppliers. We need to be to get in touch with the food supplier in Thailand. Because we have
Oh
several
wow,
restaurants.
food supplier. Wow. So, how do you get the knowledge and skill? Those skills that you need to get to speak Thai language. You need to how to drive the car in Thailand and how to get the supplier in Thailand. So how do you get?
How do you get national skill?
I need to get tuition from Dr. Samad and Dr. Tanet.
No, before
It's very easy, right? Wow. It's very easy way to do that.
before you come.
Tomorrow, yes, tomorrow.
Traditional topic about tradition.
So before you come, how do you get the knowledge and the skill before you come?
We might want to
Online.
go online.
Go online.
Maybe
go
we can
online. Yeah.
Oh.
Online tuition.
online tuition.
Oh.
Keep in touch with the agent.
Oh,
in
yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Talk to
then
your
So-
embassy.
Oh, you go to embassy. Oh, nice.
That help.
Oh,
embassy in
good.
Brunei.
Oh.
Embassy in Brunei.
Wow. Oh, it seems like you have a good plan, huh?
Yeah.
This means you are ready, huh?
Very good plan. 2022 is not far away, you see. 2022 is next year.
Uh,
actually making plans even before this training
oh, nice. Is there any person or agency that can help you in your country first, and then in Thailand, and then in Thailand, in country and you're in Thailand?
Brunei High Commission in Bangkok.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Brunei High Commission in Bangkok.
Oh,
SEAMEO SEN.
SEAMEO SEN. SEAMEO SEN can help you. So SEAMEO SEN can provide you the budget, right?
Iski.
Okay, I think you it's good. Look, it seems look like a good plan for yourself, for image, for you're going to live in Thailand next year. This you have, I think, for a short period of time that you have a good the plan. So tomorrow we're going tomorrow and another 2 days we're going to talk the whole thing. We're going to talk about the plan to making a plan for our not for you but for your students. So but I hope that tomorrow you can come up with the full you don't need to can make at the group you to make the only one or three plan for yourself to come, and or you can work individually and send in for through the email would be nice. Yeah. Do you have any question?
This one? This one? In the group.
Or if you don't have that, I have the one activity, the last activity for you. We call the clear and muddy activity. We call the exit ticket. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
No. Okay. You now in. Actually, when we go to see the movie, we need to buy the ticket, right? When you go to see a movie or a concert, we need to buy a ticket. But now you're already in the room. You cannot go out the room. You cannot exit the room except you have the ticket to exit. Your ticket would be you have a piece of paper and write one thing that is clear to you about today's workshop. And only one thing. And the second is write one thing that is muddy or unclear. Yeah.
Clear and unclear, right?
Clear and unclear. I would like to if unclear, I would like to learn more about whatever. So write one thing that is clear to you about today's workshop, and write one thing that is muddy or unclear. So you can use this idea to your student to make sure that your student that learn something, so they have to then participate in your classroom. So if you finish that, you just read to me individually, and then you can go out the room, and we'll see you tomorrow.